What is going on, my YouTube friends, all my Patreon friends? How we all doing today? We're starting the day off with something special. This is okay. UMPHREY'S McGEE, right? I Want You, She's So Heavy at like live or recorded at Abbey Road. Like, I'm not even willing to say that there's like taboo things anymore because I've seen enough covers and performances to know that people kill this stuff these days. People like come out of the woodwork and just give us beautiful art. So I'm really looking forward to this, man. I love the Beatles. Friggin' love the Beatles. I used to this is kind of lame. I used to pretend that I had at least perfect pitch for like middle C because that's the first note of Hey Jude and I could sing it like whenever I wanted. So I would just like jokingly, that was a high school thing, but anyways. So my friend, this is a special request from my friend TJ, and I appreciate this, my friend. I'm not sure where you're located, but lots of love all the way out here in Southern Canada. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Give me the thumbs up if you like this kind of content. I got a background in live stuff. I hang out with a bunch of studio people, so that stuff's all fun. What else? I got a Patreon link in the description box. I got a couple sponsors and collaborators. I have their links in the description box for some discounts. My friends, let me pull this up. I spent a long time setting this mic up so it works with the speaker, so hopefully this goes smoothly. Let's do this. Oh, cool.
Ooh, verb.
Is that a real plate? Oh, it sounds like it.
I wish I heard what he said. So a plate reverb. I'm not going to talk too much about this because it's been a minute since I've read about this. There's like 3 or 4 kinds of things that they did to recreate singers being in like big cathedrals and stuff. Because like, you know, you go, like what's a good example of this? You know, in I Don't Want to Miss a Thing, the snare drum, how it's just like bang and it just carries and carries. It sounds like they're in a huge church, right? Well, that got a little unpredictable. And when you recorded it, if that's how it sounded in the recording, you couldn't really take it away. You could add it later eventually, right? Which is what they started to do when they had something called a plate. They had a few others. So basically they built this big heavy box and it had a different shape inside of it, but like they would send signal through it and how it would reverberate in the room. That's how they recreated the reverb. And then they went through a bunch of different kinds of them. So that's why he was asking, because they're in like the vintage studio, right? So interesting, man. They got 7 Bs. Like these, I don't know what year they came out. I have one too. I normally talk into one. I'll talk about it later. It's interesting though. They look old. They look real old, and I dig that. Even like these K&M stands, they look old. They last forever, man. This is so cool.
Is that a real plate? Oh, it sounds like it.
Beautiful guitar.
Yeah. Okay, let's see what we got. Yeah.
2, ready?
I'm already sold. My friends. Come on now. Not enough.
I want you so bad, babe. I want you so bad. It's driving me mad.
Wow.
I want you so bad, babe. I want you so bad. It's driving me mad. It's driving me.
Oh man, I'm sitting here blacking out a little bit, and I can't remember in the original if they had the guitar line following the vocal. But like, okay, so, oh man, we're gonna go in on this one. We're gonna go in a little bit. So if you listen to what just like a dry recorded voice sounds like, it's really low. It's really lonely. It's really weird sounding. And what's interesting though is like even like okay, so like this microphone is a prime example. It's got like a tube in it. It's got all this stuff to make it sound real and like nice and warm and stuff, right? But still, man, like recorded with a band behind it, it still sounds pretty lame. So what they would do, especially in these days, is like if you listen to like all the vocal recordings and all the room mics and stuff that took in the voicings, you would hear it getting picked up in the guitar amp, and you would hear it getting picked up in the drum mics and stuff, because a lot of it was live off the floor, right? Or like playback with like a vocal performance, blah blah blah. There's like all kinds of things that they would do. But it's like now you need some texture, you need some saturation, and one of the ways of doing that is by using guitar amp sounds as if it were getting picked up in the room. So like what Kevin and I do personally is we double up the vocal track, we duck it, like put it way low, but we literally add a guitar amp sound, like a model on top of it, just to give it some of that room, just to make it sound like it's got something going on. And I'm gonna go and listen to the original after this, but if that isn't there, it's just like a really interesting way of adding saturation, right? And I think that would be like a toast to like very vintage recording. Anyway, let's listen for a bit.
I want you.
Beautiful bass.
I want you so bad, babe. I want you. I want you so bad. It's driving me mad. It's driving me mad. I want you.
Come on, drummer.
I want you so bad, babe. I want you. I want you so bad. It's driving me mad. It's driving me. She's so.
It's so clever, man. Like, I'm sitting here thinking that, okay, so like if you take a song that was recorded when it was and add modern instruments to it, even in a vintage recording studio, it sounds like this, right? And like, I dig that, man. Like, this is how I want kick drums to sound. This is how I want drums to sound and everything. Let me go back. I lost my train of thought. This part, it's so nasty, isn't it? And I don't know, it hits a little harder when you kind of got these like bigger instruments and these like newer guitar amps, just like better translations of recordings and stuff. It's like, this part is nasty. I love that chord.
She's so. She's so.
Great lead section, man. Like, guitar solo was real tasty. He flicked on the wah at the end a little bit. I didn't want to interrupt, man. I was digging that. I was really digging that. That was a vibe. I dug that. Real tasty, though. Real tasty, real classy. I think that it speaks to the importance of notes versus how fast you can play them. Because, like, for my guitar players out there, like, he's just playing, like, I think it was an A minor pentatonic. He's playing three, 4 notes, that first little section. But it was just perfect. It was beautiful. It's so fitting. It's just like, I don't know. It just speaks volumes to songwriting, I think. That wah.
She's so.
before we go back to this, I don't think it is actually a Tele or a Strat. Show me it. This guitar here. I don't think it's actually a Fender Strat. I think it's something else. But it looks like he's got something custom built. It almost looks like a big plastic pick, but I know it's not. But it's like underneath the bridge, so he can do like all that like drop stuff, the wobble stuff, where it's like pew, right? So like we have guitars today that have these Floyd Roses on them. I hope you can see that. Yeah, this guy here. So this is a floating bridge. So I can bend this and take all the tension off. Look at that string wobble. And then back up to normal, right? So that's kind of like the same idea. It's just like a clever way of doing it. And I'm curious if that's like if it's a vintage guitar and that was just like a mod they did, or if it was just like a builder or something that he did himself. Really interesting though. Really interesting. Sounds great.
I want you. I want you so bad, babe. I want you. I want you so bad. It's driving me mad. It's driving me mad. I want you. I want you so bad, babe. I want you. I want you so bad. It's driving me mad. It's driving me.
See, like that's what I'm talking about, man. Like Beatles, Paul McCartney, man. Go listen to what was the solo record him and Linda did? Monkberry Moon Delight, man. He screamed his butt off in that. Like all this screaming shit, man. This is just like a modern recreation, in my opinion. Man, this is fantastic. This is fantastic.
She's so.
Organ solo is fantastic. The Rhodes are great. It's great to see them. I think they have a like a silence box they call it, or like a soundproofing box, and there's probably like a Leslie cab in there. I can't remember what the rotaries are called. It goes with like a Leslie, and when you play it, it's like an organ, right? But it's like portable, quote unquote. It's like portable fridge, deep freezer. But I think they have a bunch of sound baffling around it, and then microphones on top of it, so they can get the sounds as they come out. And that's just like it would go along with if you had a Leslie. The Rhodes sound fantastic though, don't they? That like kind of marbly piano playing, especially when he's playing all fast. I love that. Let's hear some guitar now. I think these are EMG pickups, man. These are like metal pickups. Look at them. Oh my god, this drummer's going off too. Come on, man. Come on, man. Let's take a second. Let's talk about this. So these are vintage mics. These are AKG C12s, I think they're called. Rush, like Tom Sawyer, I think that's what they sang into. And they're using them as close mics. They're dynamic microphones. They're using them as a close mic for the toms. My goodness, they sound good. This is a Pearl kit, man. Just low and weighty. Low and weighty. I love it, man. This drummer's killing this. Guitar player's going off too. I love how tasty it is. I love how like he's being respectful to the song, because Buddy could probably shred. But now's not the time for that. Well, one hand. What's we got Eddie Van Halen in the house. Come on. A dive bomb too. So he does. I can do it on the acoustic guitar. It's called a harmonic, I guess. So you don't quite press the fret down, right? Hope y'all can hear that. So he did that. So it's like this high, and then he bombed it on the tension. Pew! Right? Wow, man, that's so funny. That's so funny. Come on. God, that's hilarious in a Beatles song. Come on.
Done.
Oh, that was a performance
Thank you
and a
very
half.
much. Really well. Really well.
What a cool room. What a cool room. So they have percussion on one side. That's fine because it's all loud. It's going to be very similar. So if you get any like proximity pickup, like the kick drum, it's going to be designed, the miking and everything, it's going to be designed to have a certain amount of weight to it. Like I would say it was pretty like low. It was below the bass for frequencies. They have an inside mic and an outside mic. This is a Neumann. It's a really expensive Neumann microphone. I can't remember what they're called. Excuse me. They probably have a Beta 91 on the inside. And that just gives you like the clap. But then if you, that sounded really bad. It gives you like the smack, the kick drum. But like, you know, if like the conga gets picked up in it, there's similar kind of frequencies, similar kind of resonances and reverbs and stuff. So it doesn't really matter. But you don't really want that stuff bleeding into the vocals, right? And they're going to alleviate a lot of that by using the 7Bs. Where's mine? So everyone's singing into these microphones. Like this one, I can kind of leave it, and I've got processing on it and stuff, but I can see that it's still translating pretty well. This one, not a chance. You got to be like right up against this guy, right? So like, I'm not gonna take it off, but anyway, the capsule starts about here. It's a really large diaphragm, which I like big microphones. It captures more of the voice, especially in like male vocals. It's kind of got this more like mid push instead of like a top end push. And I just find in female voices, the top end push just sounds a little nicer out of the gates. But anyways. So this mic, you have to be like right on for it to sound like it's best. And you can make them sound killer. Like you've seen them on everything, Joe Rogan podcasting, everything, right? But a guitar amp over there isn't going to pick up in here. So now you can have this like golden sounding vocal or a bunch of voices and nothing really interferes with it, right? But like you do within reason, because the drum kit, especially in a room, is really loud, right? The close mics on the toms were really cool. Just seeing C12s again was really neat. I think they had Telefunken. I don't know what was above the drum kit. These over here, these are the overheads. Telefunken U47s. I hope that's not what they are, because that'd be like $40,000 in microphones. But it might be, because yeah, it's all just stunning. It's all just stunning. What an honor to get to play a song like this at this studio, man. Like, this is a great request. Great request. I hope I didn't stretch it out too much for you. We're almost hit 20 minutes here. My friends, I appreciate y'all hanging out. We'll see y'all soon.